Hey guys, it's Luke here, fitness specialist at CCM Wellness Center. With the Wellness Center being closed for the next 4 weeks or so here, I just want to try to give you guys some tips and tricks on some workouts you can be doing at home and some movements you can be doing with things you might have if you don't have all the equipment you have available while we're shut down here. So, the first movement we're going to be talking about today is doing a squat. And with everything we're doing today, we're going to be using a backpack. So with your backpack, you can load it up with books, you can load it up with whatever you have to get the weight appropriate for what you can do. With our squats, we're gonna actually load our backpack on the front side of our body, sticking those arms through, so it's almost like a baby carrier. So it's loaded in the front there. I would recommend then, let's get those arms out in front of you just to ensure that backpack stays where you want it. We're gonna get those feet about shoulder width apart, toes slightly flared from there. Brace your back nice and tight as we lower those hips as deep as you comfortably can. Once you get to full depth, then we're going to drive back through the floor, standing up nice and tall. So again, we're dropping down as deep as you comfortably can, drive back through the floor, standing up nice and tall. And then once we're done with our set, we can obviously go ahead and pop that backpack back off. The next movement we're going to be doing is a modified push-up. So for this movement, we can adjust the weight if we need, and we're gonna actually throw the backpack on our back. If I can get my arm through it. Once we get it on our back, we're gonna modify the push-up position. So most of you would maybe be doing a push-up on your toes. For all of you, I want you to be on your knees on this variation. The reason is because we want all of the load of that backpack to be out over our chest. If we're up on our toes, we're putting a lot more strain into our lower back. So everybody's gonna be on their knees. We're dropping down as deep as you comfortably can and then driving back through the floor to get up, maintaining that nice body position. We don't want to be letting our hips pop up in the air. We want a nice controlled movement down, punch through the floor as powerfully as we can to get back up and out of that position. So the next movement we're going to be doing is a front racked lunge. For this one, I'm going to have you turn your backpack sideways, hanging onto the straps here, and we're actually gonna lift up and basically have our backpack sitting on a little shelf of our arms here. So the elbows are gonna be out and forward underneath your backpack. You're hanging on tight to those straps. From here, we can either do a forward lunge where you're stepping out in front, dropping down as deep as you can, and then driving back through, or you can do a reversed lunge. If that feels too hard on your knees, we can drop back and drive through the floor here. Either way, whether we're doing a reverse lunge or if we're going forward, we want to make sure that foot that's driving through the floor stays fully in contact with the ground. We don't let that heel rise up and get to our toe. We've got to keep flat to the floor the whole time and then drive through nice and powerful, getting back and stood up nice and tall. The next movement we're going to do is a bent over row. In this one, we're again going to be hanging onto our backpack horizontally here, using those straps. We're gonna bend over, sticking our hips out behind us, hinging at the hips, keeping the back nice and flat. We're gonna hang on to those straps, drive our elbows up nice and high, squeezing those shoulder blades together, and then lower the backpack right back down. Drive those elbows up nice and high, squeezing our shoulder blades together, lowering back down, making sure we're keeping that spine nice and neutral, keeping our torso horizontal, not rounding here or wanting to jerk up into the movement. And then last but not least today, we're gonna do a top loaded windmill. This is probably the most challenging movement of the set because it's the most complex. But with this one, we're gonna hang on to the backpack through the handle on the top. If you don't have that handle, we could just use the strap as well, but if you have the handle, it's gonna be easier to stick your hand through that handle because we're gonna put this arm straight up in the air overhead. Now our feet, we're gonna have one foot coming straight forward. The other foot is gonna be out at an angle, 90 degrees or perpendicular to that first foot. And then from here, we're gonna shift our hips out as we drop down as deep as we comfortably can, following that leg with our arm, and keeping this arm straight up overhead. And then we're gonna shift our hips back out and over, getting ourselves stood up nice and tall again. So hips out as you follow your leg down as far as you can, keeping that leg nice and straight, and then drive that backpack back up toward the ceiling as you stand back up nice and tall. So those are our 5 movements today. We've got our squats, we've got our push-ups, we've got our lunges, we've got our rows, and we've got our windmills. So all you need is your backpack. Make sure you're modifying the weight between the movements if you need to. Adjust it so it's appropriate. We want it challenging, but we also want to be able to maintain our form. Good luck, guys.